Jeremy Corbyn has joined thousands of people around the country in backing the Mirror's campaign to end hospital car parking charges. More than 4,500 patients, relatives and NHS staff signed our petition on day one to end the rip-off, which unfairly targets the sick. Charities, trade unions and politicians across the political divide have joined us in calling for the government to act. New figures showed money raked in from the NHS England car parks, which are run by private firms, has increased to £500,000 every day. Labour leader Mr Corbyn said, "It's time to ditch this unfair and immoral tax on people who are ill or need care." Desperately ill patients forced to quit work told the Mirror how they were left with bills of hundreds of pounds due to frequent hospital visits. Relatives said they were fined after arriving with a loved one in a life-threatening condition. And NHS staff said they had parking charges deducted from their wages, but were still unable to get a space and then fined for parking in the wrong bay. Mr Corbyn added, "As set out in our manifesto, Labour will scrap hospital car parking charges. I'm glad the Mirror is campaigning to end this unnecessary burden on families, patients and NHS staff." The £175 million made from hospital car parks in 2016-17 is equivalent to only 0.001% of total health spend. However, ruthless private parking firms pocket much of this. The Mirror is calling for NHS funding to be made up from general taxation, rather than piling charges of up to £4 an hour on some of the most vulnerable in society who can least afford it. The British Medical Association, which represents the nation's doctors, is supporting the axing of the charges, as is the Society for Acute Medicine. The Mirror's campaign is also backed by one of the country's biggest motoring groups. Fair Fuel UK, which has 1.5 million supporters, said it was right behind our call. A Fair Fuel UK survey of 9,048 drivers carried out in November this year found 95% wanted hospital car parking scrapped or reduced to just £1. Founder Howard Cox said, "The anxiety of visiting loved ones and attending medical appointments at hospitals in England is made worse by these excessive parking costs. This insensitive opportunism seems to be merely another way of fleecing more cash from hard-working low-income families, who can't afford private healthcare and already contribute enormously to the NHS via their taxes. Being ill is not anyone's life choice and should not be exploited financially." In Scotland, parking fees were ended at 14 NHS hospitals. Only 3 hospitals built under the Private Finance Initiative can still charge. Wales also introduced a similar policy, with 4 hospitals still charging due to PFI deals. The Mirror calls on readers to sign our petition calling for an outright ban on hospital car parking charges in England and Northern Ireland. Wales and Scotland have led the way in abolishing charges at all but a handful of hospitals. Sign our petition or go online to demand that the government tax. Visit here to sign our petition today.